The station lights hummed quietly as Ambassador Sarah Chen walked through the long corridor. Her shoes made soft sounds on the metal floor. She carried a simple briefcase and wore her usual dark blue suit. Nothing about her looked special or threatening. That was exactly how she wanted it. Galactic Council Station Omega-7 was the biggest meeting place in known space. Hundreds of species came here to talk, trade, and make deals. The station floated in neutral space, far from any homeworld. It belonged to everyone and no one. Sarah had been Earth's ambassador for 12 years now. She knew every hallway, every meeting room, every quiet corner where tired diplomats went to think. Today was just another trade meeting. Nothing special, nothing dangerous. She entered the council chamber. The room was huge, with seats rising in circles around a central floor. Hundreds of aliens sat in those seats. Some looked like insects, some looked like birds. Some were just clouds of gas in special containers. Sarah had stopped being surprised by alien appearances years ago. Sarah walked past the front rows. Those seats were for the powerful species. The Zafrani sat there, tall and proud with their golden skin. The Quarren sat nearby, their crystal bodies reflecting the lights. And the Cathraxi took up 3 rows, their insect-like bodies covered in black armor. Sarah kept walking. She went past the middle rows where the medium-power species sat. She went all the way to the back of the chamber. There in the last row she found an empty seat and sat down. This was normal for her. Humans always sat in the back. Always. War Prime Sketch noticed her arrival. He was the leader of the Cathraxi delegation. His species were famous warriors. They had conquered 40 star systems through strength and honor. Saratich's 4 eyes tracked Sarah as she took her seat in the back row. He clicked his mandibles together, a Cathraxi gesture of confusion. The humans sit in the back again, he said to his aide. They always do this. Yes, War Prime, the aide replied. I have studied their behavior. They also step aside in corridors when others approach. They hold doors open for other species. They wait for others to enter elevators first. Sketch found this fascinating. In Cathraxi culture, the strongest always went first. The strongest took the best seats. The strongest ate first, spoke first, and chose first. To do otherwise meant you were weak. They must be a prey species, Sketch decided. They survived on their world by hiding and running away. The meeting began. Various species discussed trade routes and mining rights. Sarah listened quietly from the back. She took notes on her datapad. She never interrupted. When it was humanity's turn to speak, she stood and spoke clearly but briefly. Then she sat back down. After the meeting, Dr. Verum approached Sketch. Dr. Verum was a Quarren, a species made of living crystal. The Quarren were known as the galaxy's greatest scientists and thinkers. Dr. Verum studied animal behavior across different worlds. War Prime Sketch. I could not help but hear your observations about the humans, Dr. Verum said. His voice sounded like wind chimes. I have been studying them for several years now. Their behavior is quite interesting. What have you learned? Sketch asked. Dr. Verum's crystal body pulsed with light as he thought. Humans show submission behaviors in almost every social interaction. They sit in the back, as you noted. But there is more. They apologize constantly, even when they have done nothing wrong. They smile when nervous, which shows their teeth, but this is not a threat display like with other species. Instead, it is meant to appear friendly and non-threatening. Fascinating, Sykes clicked. What does this tell us? I believe humans are a naturally submissive species. On their homeworld, they must have been prey animals. Perhaps they were hunted by larger predators. They survived by being friendly, by cooperating, by avoiding conflict. They developed intelligence as a defensive measure, not as a tool for hunting or fighting. Sketch considered this. It made sense. The Cathraxi had evolved as hunters. They were aggressive, territorial, and strong. Every part of their culture reflected this. If humans had evolved differently as prey instead of predators, that would explain their strange behavior. But they have weapons, Sketch pointed out. They have warships. They have armies. Yes, Dr. Verum agreed, but consider how they use them. Humans rarely start conflicts. They defend their borders but rarely expand them. When they do fight, they seem uncomfortable with it. They have rules for warfare, laws about how fighting should be done. What predator species makes rules about hunting? Sketch had to admit this was unusual. The Cathraxi had no such rules. Battle was battle. The strong won, the weak lost. That was nature. I am writing a paper on this topic, Dr. Verum said. I call it submissive hierarchical behaviors in Homo sapiens. I believe humans reach space not through aggression or conquest, but through cooperation and luck. They are successful despite their nature, not because of it. Across the chamber, Sarah Chen gathered her things. She had heard every word. The acoustics in the council chamber were excellent, and she knew exactly where to sit to hear conversations from the front rows. She had learned this trick years ago. A small smile crossed her face. Not a nervous smile, not a friendly smile, something else entirely. Sarah walked toward the exit. As she passed Dr. Verum and War Prime Sketch, she nodded politely. "Good day, gentlemen," she said warmly. "Excellent meeting today." "Ambassador Chen," Dr. Verum chimed. "I hope we did not disturb you." "Not at all," Sarah replied. "I was just leaving. Please continue your conversation." She stepped aside to let a group of Zafrani pass even though she had the right of way. After she left, Sakch turned to Dr. Verum. "See? Exactly as you described. She gave way when she did not need to." "Indeed," Dr. Verum said. "A perfect example of submissive behavior." Neither of them noticed the look in Sarah's eyes as she walked away. Neither of them understood that she had heard everything they said. And neither of them knew that she had already sent a message to Earth Command. The message was short. "They think we're prey. Maintain current protocols." The response from Earth was even shorter. "Understood. Continue sitting in the back." Sarah smiled again as she read the reply. This smile was not polite. It was not friendly. It was the smile of someone who knew a secret. A very important secret. Humans did sit in the back, but not for the reasons everyone thought. Dr. Verum's paper spread across the galactic network like wildfire. Within 3 days, every major species had read it. Within a week, it was being discussed in universities, military academies, and government offices across 1,000 worlds. The title alone caught everyone's attention: Submissive Hierarchical Behaviors in Homo Sapiens. The paper was detailed, well-researched, and convincing. Dr. Verum had documented 50 years of human behavior in the Galactic Council. Every observation pointed to the same conclusion. Humans were a naturally submissive prey species. The evidence seemed overwhelming. Humans always deferred to others. They apologized constantly. They avoided confrontation. They made rules to limit their own violence. They even had something called please and thank you that they used in almost every conversation. War Prime Search read the paper 3 times. Each time he became more convinced. The Cathraxi had always wondered why humans were so strange. Now it made sense. They were not warriors. They were not hunters. They were survivors who had gotten lucky. "This changes everything," Skitch told his military advisors. "We have been too respectful of the humans. We have treated them as equals. But they are weak." His chief advisor clicked in agreement. "The humans control valuable trade routes, War Prime. Routes that could serve the Cathraxi better. Perhaps it is time to renegotiate." Sketch was not the only one thinking this way. Across the galaxy, aggressive species saw opportunity. The Zafrani began demanding better terms in trade negotiations. The Vortex started sending military ships near human colonies to test their reactions. Even smaller species, ones that normally avoided conflict, began pushing back against human proposals in the Council. And through it all, the humans remained polite. Ambassador Chen noticed the change immediately. The tone in meetings shifted. Other species interrupted her more often. They dismissed human concerns more quickly. Trade deals that would have been fair 2 months ago suddenly became very one-sided. A Zafrani trade minister actually laughed during one negotiation. "Ambassador Chen, surely you understand that human shipping rates are too high. We require a 30% reduction." Sarah had smiled her polite smile. "I will bring your proposal to my government." "You do that," the minister had said, waving his hand dismissively. "We expect a response by tomorrow." Sarah had nodded and left. In the corridor, she sent a coded message to Earth. The message detailed the changing atmosphere, the increasing demands, and the growing disrespect. She ended with a simple question: should we adjust our behavior? The response from Earth Command came 6 hours later. Negative. Continue all current protocols. Maintain courtesy. Accept reasonable demands. Sit in the back. Let them believe, so Sarah continued. She smiled. She apologized. She sat in the back. And she watched. 3 weeks after the paper's publication, there was an incident in space. A Cathraxi battlecruiser encountered a human freighter near the Deneb sector. The freighter was carrying medical supplies to a human colony. The Cathraxi captain, Commander Thresh, decided to test the humans. He blocked the freighter's path and demanded they submit to a cargo inspection. This was not legal under galactic law, but Thresh wanted to see what the humans would do. The human captain, a woman named Maria Santos, responded immediately. "Cathraxi vessel, we are on a medical supply run. We can provide you with our cargo manifest, but we do not have time for a full inspection. People need these medicines. You will submit to inspection or we will fire on your vessel," Thresh replied. There was a long pause. Then Captain Santos spoke again, her voice calm. "Understood, Cathraxi vessel. We are transmitting our manifest and moving to position for inspection. Please make it quick." Commander Thresh felt satisfaction. The humans had backed down, just as predicted. They were weak. They avoided conflict. He spent the next hour slowly inspecting the freighter's cargo, even though the manifest was clearly accurate. He wanted to make a point. When he finally let the freighter go, Captain Santos thanked him politely. "Thank you for your diligence, Commander. Safe travels." Thresh reported the incident to War Prime Sketch with pride. "The humans did exactly as you predicted, War Prime. They submitted without resistance. They even thanked me, and Sketch was pleased. Good. We will test them further." What neither of them knew was that Captain Santos had filed a report with Human Military Command. The report included exact details of the encounter, including the Cathraxi ship's specifications, weapon configurations, and crew complement. She had collected all of this data during the inspection using passive sensors. Her final note in the report said, "They are getting bolder. How much longer should we wait?" Back on Earth in a secure military facility, Admiral James Rodriguez read the report. He was the head of Human Defense Fleet Command. He had been a soldier for 40 years. He had seen things that most humans never knew about, things that humanity did not talk about with other species. He forwarded the report to his superior, Fleet Admiral Lisa Zhang. Along with the report, he sent a message. "The Cathraxi are testing us. Request permission to show them why we sit in the back." Admiral Zhang read the report in her office. She was 60 years old with gray hair and tired eyes. She had spent her entire life protecting humanity. She knew exactly what humans were capable of. She also knew why they worked so hard to hide it. She replied to Rodriguez, "Negative. Not yet, let them push further. We need them to commit fully to their mistake." On the Galactic Council station, Sarah Chen attended another meeting. This time it was about mining rights in the outer sectors. The Cathraxi demanded access to mines in human territory. The proposed payment was insultingly low. War Prime Scotch presented the proposal himself. "Ambassador Chen, we require immediate access to the Titan 7 mining complex. We offer 1 million credits annually." Sarah knew the mine produced 20 million credits worth of minerals every year. The offer was ridiculous, but she smiled politely. "I will present your offer to my government, War Prime." "See that you do," Scotch said. His tone was no longer respectful. It was commanding. "We expect a response within 3 days." Sarah nodded and made notes on her datapad. Other species in the chamber watched. Some looked uncomfortable. Others looked pleased. The humans were being put in their place. After the meeting, Sarah walked to her private office on the station. She closed the door and locked it. Then she opened a secure communication line to Earth. Admiral Zhang's face appeared on the screen. "Ambassador Chen, I saw the meeting. The Cathraxi are becoming very bold." "Yes, Admiral," Sarah replied. "I have never seen them act this way before. They truly believe we are weak." Zhang nodded slowly. "Good. That is exactly what we need them to believe." "How are the other species reacting?" "Mixed reaction," Sarah said. "The aggressive species are following the Cathraxi's lead. The peaceful species look uncomfortable but say nothing. Everyone is watching to see what we do." "Perfect," Zhang said. "Continue your current approach, Ambassador. Smile, apologize, sit in the back, and wait. When the time comes, we will remind the galaxy why humans learn to be polite." Sarah understood. "Yes, Admiral. I will maintain protocols." The communication ended. Sarah sat alone in her office for a long time. She thought about her years of service. She thought about all the times she had smiled when she wanted to scream, all the times she had apologized when she had done nothing wrong, All the time she had sat in the back when she could have sat in front. She thought about Dr. Varum's paper, about how the galaxy now saw humans as prey animals, as weak creatures who got lucky, and she smiled. Not her polite smile, not her diplomatic smile. She smiled the way her grandfather had smiled when he told her stories about old Earth, about the wars that nearly destroyed humanity, about the lessons humans learned. Let them believe, she whispered to herself. Let them push. Let them think they understand us. Outside her office, the galactic community continued to buzz with talk of Dr. Varum's paper. Humans were the topic of every conversation. Everyone had an opinion about the weak, submissive species that somehow made it to the stars, and none of them noticed that humans were watching them very carefully. Taking notes, recording everything, waiting, always waiting. The incident happened on a Tuesday morning, station time. A Cathraxi battle fleet was conducting exercises near the Kepler mining belt. The belt was in neutral space, but 3 human mining stations operated there legally under galactic treaties. Commander Thresh was leading the exercises. He was the same officer who had stopped the human freighter weeks earlier. That encounter had gone well. The humans had submitted easily. Thresh wanted to push further. His targeting officer called out, "Commander, we have 3 human mining stations within range. They are operating at full capacity." Thresh looked at his tactical display. The mining stations were small, lightly defended. Easy targets. An idea formed in his mind. What if there was an accident? What if his weapons misfired during the exercises? "Target the closest station," he ordered. "Prepare to fire, sir?" His first officer questioned. "That station is not a legitimate target." "I am aware," Thresh replied. "We will call it an accident. A malfunction during exercises. The humans will complain, but they will accept our apology. They always do." The first officer hesitated, but only for a moment. "Yes, Commander." Mining Station Delta 7 had 300 people working that shift. Miners, engineers, support staff. They were extracting rare metals from the asteroids. It was hard, dangerous work, but it paid well. Station Chief Marcus Webb was reviewing production reports when the alarm sounded. His screen lit up with a weapons lock warning. "Cathraxi ships, multiple vessels, targeting the station. This is Mining Station Delta 7 to Cathraxi Fleet," Marcus broadcast. "You have a weapons lock on our position. Please clarify your intentions." There was no response. The Cathraxi ships maintained their lock. "Evacuate," Marcus ordered. "Everyone to escape pods, now." The station erupted into controlled chaos. People ran for the escape pods. Alarms blared. Marcus stayed at his post trying to buy time for his crew. He kept broadcasting to the Cathraxi fleet. "We are a civilian mining station. We are unarmed. Please respond." The Cathraxi fleet fired. 3 plasma bolts hit the station directly. The explosions tore through the habitat modules. Atmosphere vented into space. The power core went critical. Station Delta 7 broke apart in seconds. 70 people made it to escape pods. 230 did not. Marcus Webb died at his post, still trying to contact the Cathraxi fleet. The other 2 mining stations immediately sent distress calls. They reported the attack to human authorities and to the Galactic Council. Within minutes, the news spread across the entire galaxy. Commander Thresh returned to Cathraxi space. He reported to War Prime Sketch immediately. "War Prime, there was an unfortunate accident during our exercises. A human mining station was destroyed. It was a malfunction of our targeting systems." Sketch considered this. He knew it was not an accident. He also knew that Thresh had given him an opportunity. "How many casualties?" "Approximately 230 humans, War Prime." Sketting clicked his mandibles. 230 deaths was significant, but not catastrophic. The humans would be angry, but they would accept compensation. They always did. This would be a test of how far he could push them. "Prepare a statement," Sketch ordered. "Express regret for the accident. Offer compensation of 1 million credits. Make it clear this was a technical malfunction, nothing more." The statement went out within hours. It was brief and formal. The Cathraxi Empire regretted the unfortunate accident. They would investigate the malfunction. They offered minimal compensation to the families of the victims. There was no apology. The Galactic Council called an emergency session. Every species sent representatives. The chamber was packed. Everyone wanted to see how the humans would respond. Ambassador Sarah Chen walked into the chamber. Every eye followed her. Some species looked sympathetic. Others looked curious. A few looked pleased, enjoying the human's misfortune. Sarah did not go to the back row. For the first time in 50 years, she walked straight to the center of the chamber. She stood at the speaker's podium. The chamber fell completely silent. War Prime Scotch sat in the front row with his delegation. He watched Sarah with his 4 eyes. He expected anger. He expected threats. He expected the humans to demand justice while ultimately accepting whatever the Cathraxi offered. Sarah looked around the chamber slowly. Her face was calm. When she spoke, her voice was steady and clear. Members of the Galactic Council, I come before you today to discuss a serious matter. 230 human civilians were killed yesterday. They were miners. They were engineers. They were people doing their jobs in neutral space, following all galactic laws and treaties. She paused. No one spoke. The Cathraxi Empire has called this an accident, a malfunction. They have offered minimal compensation and no apology. They expect this matter to be closed. Sarah's expression did not change, but something in her eyes did. Something cold. I did not come here to discuss compensation. I came here to discuss something more important. I came to discuss why humans sit in the back. This was unexpected. Confused murmurs spread through the chamber. Dr. Varum's crystal body pulsed with interest. What did seating arrangements have to do with a mining station attack? Dr. Varum recently published a paper, Sarah continued. A very well-researched paper about human behavior. He concluded that humans are a naturally submissive prey species. That we sit in the back because we are weak. That we are polite because we are afraid. She looked directly at Dr. Varum. The Quarren scientist's crystal body flickered uncomfortably. Dr. Varum was wrong, Sarah said simply, and today I am going to explain why. She activated the holographic display. Images appeared in the air above the chamber floor. Images from Earth's history. Images that most species had never seen. This is my home world, Sarah said. Earth, a beautiful planet. Green and blue. Full of life. It looks peaceful, does it not? The image changed. Now it showed ancient humans hunting massive animals with primitive weapons. Humans evolved as pursuit predators, Sarah explained. Do you know what that means? It means we did not hunt by being fast or strong. We hunted by never giving up. We would chase our prey for days. We would track it across vast distances. We would follow it until it collapsed from exhaustion. Then we would kill it and eat it. The images showed more scenes. Humans with spears. Humans with bows. Humans surrounding enormous beasts. We hunted animals that were bigger than us, stronger than us, faster than us. We hunted them anyway. We hunted them to extinction, mammoths, giant sloths, cave bears. We killed them all. War Prime Sketch leaned forward. This was not the story he expected. This did not match Dr. Varum's research at all. And then, Sarah continued, when we ran out of giant animals to hunt, we turned on each other. The holographic display changed again. Now it showed human warfare, ancient battles, medieval sieges, industrial warfare. The images were brutal and clear. For 10,000 years, humans fought each other, tribe against tribe, nation against nation. We developed increasingly efficient ways to kill each other. Swords, guns, bombs, we got very good at it. The images showed World War I, trenches full of bodies, poison gas, millions dead, 20 million dead in one war, Sarah said quietly, and we learned nothing. The display showed World War II, the Holocaust, Hiroshima, Nagasaki. The mushroom clouds rose in the holographic air. 80 million dead in the next war, Sarah continued. And at the end of it, we had created weapons that could destroy our entire world. Atomic bombs, nuclear missiles. We built thousands of them. We pointed them at each other. For decades, we lived one mistake away from extinction. The chamber was absolutely silent now. Every species stared at the holographic display in horror. So you see, Sarah said, turning to face the council, humans are not a prey species. We are not weak. We are not naturally submissive. She paused and looked directly at War Prime Scotch. We sit in the back because we know what we are capable of. We are polite because politeness is how we remind ourselves not to be what we were. Every time a human says please or thank you, we are choosing to be civilized. Every time we apologize, we are choosing restraint over violence. Every time we sit in the back, we are choosing not to take the front by force. Her voice grew colder. You mistook our courtesy for weakness, our restraint for fear. Our choice to be peaceful for an inability to be otherwise. That was a mistake. The silence in the council chamber was complete. Ambassador Sarah Chen stood at the podium, her hands resting calmly on its surface. The holographic display still showed images from Earth's violent history. Mushroom clouds, battlefields, weapons of mass destruction. The Cathraxi Empire has 48 hours, Sarah said. Her voice was steady but cold. You will provide full compensation to every family who lost someone yesterday. You will issue a formal apology to humanity and to this council. You will admit that this was not an accident. War Prime Scotch stood up. His black armor gleamed under the chamber lights. Ambassador Chen, you dare to make demands of the Cathraxi Empire? We are warriors. We fear nothing, Sarah looked at him. Her expression did not change. War Prime, your species has been warriors for 5,000 years. My species has been at war with itself for 10,000 years. We have killed more of our own kind than your entire population. We nearly made ourselves extinct twice. She paused, letting that sink in. You think you are warriors because you have conquered 40 systems. We think we are dangerous because we almost destroyed our own homeworld. We are not the same. Sketch clicked his mandibles in anger. This is bluster. You show us old images and expect us to fear you? Words and pictures change nothing. You are still the same humans who sit in the back and apologize. 48 hours, War Prime, Sarah repeated. That is all I came here to say. She turned and walked out of the chamber. She did not go to the back row this time. She walked straight out the main doors. Every species in the council watched her leave. After she was gone, the chamber erupted in conversation. Species debated what they had seen. Some were frightened by the images of human warfare. Others agreed with Skutch that it was just talk. Dr. Verum approached War Prime Skutch. The Quarren scientist's crystal body was flickering rapidly, a sign of anxiety. War Prime, I must speak with you. What is it, Doctor? Skutch asked impatiently. I believe I made an error in my research, Dr. Verum said quietly. A serious error. I studied human behavior but not human history. I saw their politeness but did not understand where it came from. Ambassador Chen is right. Humans are not submissive. They are restrained. There is a significant difference. Siktach dismissed this with a wave of his claw. The doctor is frightened by pictures. Pictures cannot hurt us. The humans had their chance to intimidate us and they failed. We will not bend to their demands. Back on Earth, Fleet Admiral Lisa Zhang stood in the command center. Around her, dozens of officers worked at their stations. Screens showed star maps, ship positions, and tactical data. Admiral Ambassador Chen has delivered the ultimatum, her aide reported. The Cathraxi have 48 hours. Good, Zhang replied. What is War Prime Sketch's response? He rejected it publicly. He called it bluster. He does not believe we will act, Zhang nodded slowly. Then we proceed to Phase 2, execute Operation Shadow. Yes, Admiral. Operation Shadow had been planned for years. It was humanity's contingency plan for exactly this situation. What if the galaxy stopped respecting human boundaries? What if other species decided humans were weak? What if someone needed to be reminded why humans were careful? The operation had 2 phases. Phase 1 was Ambassador Chen's speech. That was the warning. Phase 2 was the demonstration. That was the lesson. Across human space, fleets began to move. They had been waiting in deep space, hidden and silent. Now they activated. Hundreds of warships that the galaxy did not know existed suddenly appeared on every sensor in the sector. The galactic intelligence networks went wild. How did humans have this many ships? Where had they been hiding? The official human fleet was less than a third this size. Where did these new vessels come from? The answer was simple. Humans had been building a reserve fleet for 50 years. They had been building it quietly, secretly in deep space shipyards far from prying eyes. They called it the Shadow Fleet. It existed for one purpose, to remind the galaxy that human politeness was a choice, not a necessity. On the Cathraxi homeworld, military analysts stared at their screens in disbelief. The human fleet was massive, 3 times larger than their intelligence estimates, and it was moving with precision and coordination that spoke of extensive training. War Prime, the head of Cathraxi intelligence, reported, "We have a situation. The humans have revealed a reserve fleet. It is surrounding our territory." Scotch looked at the tactical display. Human ships everywhere. Not attacking. Not threatening. Just there, visible, waiting. "This is impossible," Scotch said. "Our intelligence tracked human ship production for decades. They cannot have this many vessels. Apparently they can, War Prime. And there is more. Our weapon systems are experiencing malfunctions. Malfunctions? Yes, War Prime. Our defense platforms cannot achieve weapons lock. Our battle fleet cannot target the human ships. Our systems are compromised. Sketch felt something he had not felt in many years. Fear. How long have they been in our systems? The intelligence officer consulted his datapad. His hands were shaking. Based on the sophistication of the infiltration, we estimate they have had access for at least 20 years. Maybe longer, 20 years. For 20 years, humans had been inside Cathraxi military networks. They had been watching, learning, preparing, all while sitting politely in the back of the council chamber and apologizing when others bumped into them. Sekch's communication console activated. A message from Human Military Command. He opened it. The message was from Fleet Admiral Zhang. Her face appeared on the screen. She looked tired but determined. War Prime Sketch, she said. I am Fleet Admiral Lisa Zhang of the Human Defense Forces. You have 36 hours remaining to comply with Ambassador Chen's demands. I want you to understand your situation clearly. She gestured off-screen. A tactical display appeared showing Cathraxi space. These are your defense platforms. Offline, these are your battle fleets. They cannot achieve weapons lock on any human vessel. These are your communication networks. We control them. These are your supply lines. We can cut them at any moment. With each statement, more of the Cathraxi military infrastructure turned red on the display. We have been inside your system since the day you joined the Galactic Council, John continued. Every ship, every station, every military facility. We did this quietly because we are polite. We did not use this access because we are peaceful. But do not mistake our restraint for inability. She leaned forward and her eyes were hard as steel. You killed 230 of our people. You offered insults instead of compensation. You thought we were weak. You were wrong. Now you will make this right, or you will learn what humans are like when we stop being polite. The message ended. Sketch stared at the blank screen. Around him, his officers waited for orders. What could they do? The humans had outmaneuvered them completely. They had never seen it coming. War Prime, what are your orders? His first officer asked. Sketch sat in silence for a long moment. He had been a warrior his entire life. He had fought in 30 battles. He had conquered worlds. But he had never faced an enemy like this. An enemy that had been inside his defenses for 20 years without him knowing. An enemy that could have destroyed everything but chose not to. An enemy that killed its own kind for 10,000 years and then taught itself to be polite. He understood now. The human sitting in the back was not submission. It was control. They sat in the back because they could. Because they had already won any fight before it started. They were polite because they had nothing to prove. Send a message to Ambassador Chen, Sketch ordered. Tell her the Cathraxi Empire accepts all her terms. Full compensation, formal apology, admission of guilt. Everything she demanded. His officers looked shocked. The Cathraxi never capitulated, never. But War Prime, his first officer protested. Our honor demands we resist. Sketch looked at him with all four eyes. Our honor demands we recognize superior force. The humans are not prey. They are apex predators pretending to be herbivores. We made a mistake. A serious mistake. Now we will correct it before they decide to stop pretending. The message went out within the hour. The Cathraxi Empire formally apologized to humanity and to the Galactic Council. They admitted the mining station attack was not an accident. They offered full compensation to every family, far more than the insulting original offer. They requested forgiveness and promised it would never happen again. The message was humble, respectful, and complete. It arrived at the council station 34 hours after Ambassador Chen's ultimatum. 2 hours ahead of the deadline, Sarah Chen read the message in her office. She forwarded it to Fleet Admiral Zhang with a simple note. They understand now. Zhang's response came quickly. Withdraw the Shadow Fleet. Resume normal operations. Mission accomplished. Within hours, the human reserve fleet began to disappear. The ships slipped back into deep space, into hidden shipyards, into the shadows where they had been waiting for 50 years. By the next morning, only the regular human fleet remained visible. It was as if nothing had happened. Except everything had changed. 3 weeks after the incident, the Galactic Council called a special session. Every species sent their highest-ranking diplomats. The chamber was packed. Everyone wanted to see what would happen next. Ambassador Sarah Chen walked into the chamber. This time everyone watched where she would sit. The front rows had empty seats. The Cathraxi had deliberately left space for her. Other species had done the same. They were offering her a position of honor. Sarah smiled politely. She thanked them for the gesture. Then she walked to the back of the chamber and sat in her usual seat. The last row. Right next to the door. The chamber buzzed with confused whispers. Why would she go back to the rear? She had proven human strength. She had earned a place in the front. Why return to the back? The session began. It was a routine meeting about trade regulations. Nothing dramatic. Nothing special. But there was a new feeling in the chamber. Other diplomats spoke more respectfully when addressing the human delegation. They listened more carefully to human proposals. No one interrupted Sarah when she spoke. After the meeting, War Prime Skach approached her. He moved slowly, carefully. He was a warrior, but he knew when to show respect. Ambassador Chen, he said. May I speak with you? Of course, War Prime, Sarah replied. Please walk with me. They walked together through the station corridors. Other species moved aside to let them pass. No one wanted to interrupt. I do not understand, Skach said after a moment. You proved your strength. You earned respect. Why do you still sit in the back? Sarah was quiet for a moment. Then she answered, Because the back is where I want to sit, War Prime. Not where I have to sit. There is a difference. Skach clicked his mandibles thoughtfully. You choose to appear weak even though you are strong. No, Sarah corrected gently. I choose to be peaceful even though I am capable of violence. Those are not the same thing. Appearing weak is deception. Being peaceful is choice. They stopped at a viewing window. Beyond the glass, stars stretched into infinity, beautiful and cold. Your species hunts by making prey feel safe, Skach said. Ambassador Chen showed us this. We thought you were prey. We let our guard down. Then you struck. Sarah shook her head. That is not quite right, War Prime. We do not make others feel safe so we can hunt them. We make ourselves appear safe so others do not feel the need to hunt us. We sit in the back because we do not want to be in a position where we might need to remind people what we are. She turned to face him directly. My species spent 10,000 years learning a terrible lesson. We learned that we are very good at killing. Too good. We almost destroyed ourselves because we were so good at it. So we made a choice. We decided to be peaceful. We created rules for ourselves. We practice politeness like a martial art. We sit in the back not because we are weak, but because sitting in the front makes us remember things we would rather forget. Skach was silent for a long time. Finally, he spoke. I understand now. Your politeness is not weakness. It is discipline. Yes, Sarah agreed. Discipline? Every time we say please and thank you, we are practicing restraint. Every time we apologize, we are choosing peace over pride. Every time we sit in the back, we are reminding ourselves that power does not need to be displayed to be real. They stood together at the window, looking at the stars. After a while, Skach spoke again. The Cathraxi made a grave error. We tested human resolve. We pushed boundaries. We killed your people. We are fortunate you showed restraint. You are, Sarah said simply, but you learned. That is important. You understood when we explained. You accepted responsibility. You made things right. That shows wisdom. Will your species ever sit in the front? Skach asked. Sarah smiled. Perhaps. When we no longer need to remind ourselves why we sit in the back. When being peaceful becomes truly natural instead of carefully maintained. When we can sit anywhere without worrying what we might become. But that day is not today. Skach clicked in understanding. You fear yourselves more than you fear us. Yes, Sarah admitted. Because we know what we are capable of. You have fought wars, War Prime. You have conquered worlds. But you have never almost destroyed your own species out of pure hatred and stupidity. You have never built weapons designed to kill everyone on your home world. You have never looked into the abyss and seen your own face looking back. She paused and her voice grew softer. We have, and we decided we did not like what we saw, so we changed. We learned to be polite. We learned to apologize. We learned to sit in the back. And we will keep doing these things for as long as it takes to truly become the peaceful species we pretend to be. Across the station, in the academic quarters, Dr. Varum was writing. His crystal body pulsed with light as he worked. He was composing a new paper. The title was simple, A Correction and Apology. Understanding Human Restraint. In the paper, he explained his error. He had mistaken discipline for submission. He had confused restraint with weakness. He had seen humans apologizing and thought it meant they were sorry for existing. He had not understood that humans apologized because they were sorry for what they might do if they stopped being careful. He wrote about human history, about how they had nearly destroyed themselves, about how they had chosen to become something different, about how their politeness was not natural but carefully maintained, a choice they made every single day. The paper ended with a warning. Humans are not weak. They are warriors who chose peace. They are predators who chose restraint. They sit in the back not because they must, but because they can. Never mistake their courtesy for inability. Never test their patience. And never, ever forget that beneath their polite smiles lies 10,000 years of experience at being the most dangerous thing on their planet. The paper spread across the galaxy just as quickly as his first one had. This time everyone paid attention. This time everyone understood. Trade negotiations with humans became more fair. Border incidents stopped happening. Other species became more respectful. Not because they feared human military power, though they did, but because they understood that human politeness was a gift, a choice. And gifts should be appreciated, not abused. Ambassador Sarah Chen continued attending council sessions. She always arrived early. She always sat in the back. She always smiled politely and thanked people for small courtesies. She never changed her behavior. But now everyone understood what that behavior meant. The back row was no longer the seat of the weak. It was the seat of those strong enough to choose where they sat. It was the seat of those disciplined enough to remain calm. It was the seat of those wise enough to know that true power does not need to be displayed. 6 months later, a young diplomat from a newly spacefaring species arrived at the council station. He was nervous and excited. His species had just joined the galactic community. He had so much to learn. At his first council session, he arrived early. He looked around the great chamber with wonder. So many species, so much history. Where should he sit? He noticed that the front rows were filling up with important-looking species. Large, powerful beings that radiated confidence. He started to move toward the middle rows, thinking that would be appropriate for a newcomer. Then he saw a human sitting alone in the back row. He had heard of humans. Everyone had heard the stories. The species that almost destroyed itself. The warriors who chose peace. The ones who sat in the back by choice, not necessity. Ambassador Chen noticed the young diplomat looking uncertain. She smiled and gestured to the empty seat beside her. "Would you like to sit here?" she asked kindly. The young diplomat was surprised. "Is it permitted? I thought the back was for—" He trailed off, not sure how to finish the sentence. "The back is for those who choose to sit here," Sarah said warmly. "There is no rule against it. In fact, I find the view is quite good from here. You can see everything that happens without being in the middle of it all. Sometimes that is useful." The young diplomat sat down gratefully. Throughout the meeting, Sarah quietly explained things to him. She pointed out which species were speaking. She explained the context of various debates. She helped him understand the unspoken rules of council diplomacy. At the end of the session, he thanked her. "You are very kind, Ambassador Chen. Thank you for helping me." "You are welcome," Sarah replied. "That is what we do in the back row. We watch, we learn. We help when we can. And we remember why we are here, Wang. Why are we here?" the young diplomat asked. Sarah looked at him with gentle eyes. "To be better than we were. To choose peace over violence. To practice restraint over power. To sit in the back not because we must, but because we can." The young diplomat thought about this. He looked around the chamber at all the powerful species sitting in the front rows. Then he looked at the human beside him sitting peacefully in the back. "I think I understand," he said slowly. "The back row is not about weakness. It is about wisdom." Sarah smiled. "You are going to do well here," she said. And so the galactic community continued. Species came and went. Disputes arose and were resolved. Treaties were signed and honored. And through it all, humans sat quietly in the back row, watching, learning, and remembering. Remembering that they had once been monsters. Remembering that they had chosen to become something better. Remembering that every day of peace was a victory over their own nature. And remembering that sitting in the back was not a sign of weakness.